Hi, how's everyone doing today? Don't worry, I'm not going to talk about Trump today. I'm taking a break from that. Today we are going to talk about Roland. I'm talking about your speech today. Hi, Roland. How you doing, buddy?
Good.
Today your claim is football is too dangerous for children to play. Well, I am here to say I am completely with you. I agree that children are too young. Their brains are developing, but I feel like you didn't do a perfect presentation. I feel like you had missing flaws, and I'm here to bring those flaws out today. All right? I'm not offending you. Let's all actually give a round of applause for Roland. Yeah, Roland. All right. Thank you, the two of you. All right. Secondary. Okay, so his secondary claims are kids and families don't know and understand what concussions are. They're not good for young developing brains. Injuries can have long-lasting effects on them. Now, he does bring out good points. He just doesn't know the perfect way to bring them out. For example, he isn't showing too much proof of evidence other than suicides and like mental disorders. He doesn't really say what it's doing to the. He doesn't say mental disorders are coming out. He just says it's bringing suicides, which doesn't really bring any intel into what the situation really is. He makes CTC claims, which is kind of a bit complicated. I did not know what CTC was at the time. And he could have said, like, there was a quote I saw that to compare characteristics of children's adolescence with concussive head injury, or CHI, concussive head injury, sustained during organized sports or other leisure physical activities. This was made by Gabby Brown, one of the head researchers over in UCI. She had a quote. This means that she had to compare children. She made a comparison that 50% of children who play sports had a head injury out of 10. That's actually 5 of the 10 children, which is actually a really big deal because this is 5 children out of the 10 that she had to observe and make, which was actually, I found really confusing because I thought it would have been less. All right, claim 2 is that he is not good for young developing brains. Now, he doesn't really bring up any statistics here as well of how much children get hurt or where they get hurt, or is a majority of it. The children that he says are up to age 14, all right? So I'm thinking about, what about all the children that are 15, 16, 17? Now, these are children that are in high school, more physical, go to championships. I want to know about that. I wanted to know, like, how that could have been brought up. There was actually a good quote by Gabby Brown again. A moderate or good recovery at 6 months achieved 70 patients, 59%, but 45 had poor brain damage, which, so 70% of these patients played a sport, but 59% of them, the ones that did play, 59% of the 100, there were 70% that played sports. 59% of them had brain damage, which was actually really incredible as well. His third claim, is that injuries can have long-lasting effects. Now, he does prove. This was actually my favorite point this is my favorite point of the speech, because he actually did bring a lot of good points, but he didn't really use any good citations. When he usually referred to a source, he usually referred to them as they or him or it. Now there wasn't enough info for long-lasting effects, but here was a good quote I found. After accounting for several demographic, family, and pre-injury characteristics, the inpatient but not the outpatient group displayed increased hyperactivity, inattention, and conduct disorder between the ages of 10 and 13, as they were rated by both mothers and teachers. All right, so. And it says that physiological effects were prevented in patient groups by the age of 5. So now it's not normal for children. It's not abstract for children to have mental disorders. They had it up to age 5, and it's good because not good. No, sorry, it's bad. Sorry, I was out of the boom, but good. Okay, it's between ages and 10 and 13 is like when they have the most injuries. That's what it was said to have happen. So from between 10 and 13, that's when the biggest amount of brain injuries were to happen in children. I could have used like more statistics like that. So in conclusion, Roland did a good speech, but there were a few points missing. It's too dangerous for children to play sports of physical being. So Roland, you did a good speech, and it is dangerous for them to play.
All right, Ozzy, let's put you in the situation that you are an attorney for the NFL defending your client in a lawsuit that has been presented by Roland and his plaintiff about CTE and CTC and CDI and all these sorts of things. You have just opened yourself up to malpractice liability because you have not met your obligation in this situation. You have basically done a critique of his presentation, not a refutation of the issues of the argument that's being presented.
Okay.
And sometimes the critiques that you offer actually end up supporting. I mean, from the very beginning, you say, "Well, I agree with the position." If you were the defense attorney in a criminal case, and you stood up and said, "Well, you know, everything the prosecution said is true, but let me just tell you why they didn't do as good a job as they could have at convicting my client," I think you'd be in a lot of trouble. That's not the way you want to develop the argument. Now, some of your criticisms, I thought it's pretty well organized. You followed the structure. That's okay. You asked some questions about the evidence. That's okay. I don't know that the questions that you asked do anything to, I mean, you don't seem to be trying to undermine the argument. You just seem to be saying, well, maybe there could have been better evidence on a couple of points here and there. What's missing from the evidence? Why would that change the way we look at this? How could it alter the way we would make a judgment? Does it decrease the confidence that we have in the conclusions that he came up with? Those would be the kinds of issues that you ought to be focusing on, and we don't really get anything like that. And I think that that's problematic. So I think you've gone at it from the wrong kind of perspective. You were kind of looking at it as if it's the peer evaluation of the presentation rather than a refutation of the presentation. And I thought you offered some legitimate suggestions from an evaluative point of view, but from a refutation point of view, not right, not what you're really supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
All right? Thank you, though, for being ready to go.